last game of the regular season for both of these teams, the Jazz and the Kings. The starting lineup different certainly for the Sacramento Kings. Corliss Williamson, Scott Pollard, Vlade Divac, Jason Williams, John Barry, the usual five for the home-standing Utah Jazz in their white. We should tell you right away, Chris Webber and Nick Anderson, both outstanding seasons for the Sacramento Kings, placed on the injured list before tonight's game. They will not play. Karl Malone starts things off as he has since he arrived here in Salt Lake. I'm Paul Sunderland, joined by Mike Fratello and Cheryl Miller, and we set the stage. The Sacramento Kings, dramatic fashion last night in overtime at home, lost to the Seattle Supersonics. They are now slotted in the 8th spot. Ordinarily, prior to last night, they would have played the Utah Jazz, a matchup that everyone would have looked forward to. Jeff Hornacek for the three right away, but it's down. Inside to Vlade Divac, walking in on Karl Malone and blocked by Olden Polyniuk.
I would think that Sacramento will try to get Vlade involved here early. He didn't play many minutes last night because of basically bad matchups. Seattle played small, they played quick. And tell me that Utah doesn't have a hot hand right now.
Back into Malone. Pollard can't stay with him. And Karl Malone, once again, having a record-setting season. Only the third player in NBA history to go over 31,000 points. Joining.
How many double teams really coming?
Brian Russell strong to the basket. Jeff Hornacek against the Los Angeles Lakers in their first-round matchup. Stockton from the left wing, 17-footer.
So you have to live with the good and the bad. The good last night was when he was knocking down those threes to keep.
Jerry thought about kicking it inside to Corliss Williamson. Vlade can make that shot. Sometimes.
I don't think he was really set. He was starting to swing the ball to his right. Then he noticed there was nobody in front of him. He had a wide open shot. Really never got it set in his hands. Really never stepped into it. Got his legs underneath him.
This ball doesn't come with a little string. Jeff Hornacek from Stockton. Severely painful. Pollard down the middle once again. He's now perfect. 4 for 4. Seattle Supersonics. Corliss Williamson inside again. Greg Ostertag bothered that shot. Stockton to Brian Russell for the finish. Both of these teams know exactly who they're playing in the first round, and we've seen that exactly 10,000 times by my.
Because of the injuries and trying to give other guys time.
Hornacek for three. The assist again to John Stockton. No surprise that Jeff Hornacek would get off to a good start, middle, and finish shooting the basketball. But again, good intensity in this matchup, and we weren't sure what we were going to get.
Kind of interesting at the end. Hornacek just sat there, watched Martin shoot the jumper, and said, I know what this is all about. I've made a few.
Jacques Vaughn now in number 11 in white out of Kansas. A big Kansas contingent in this basketball game, including Greg Ostertag.
Down the stretch. I know that Jerry Sloan at the end of games has some concern as Stojakovic shoots the ball so well, and that's what he can do, make open shots.
Elbow to the lower jaw, had 4 of his teeth knocked out. We'll get to Stojakovic in a moment, and also broke all 9 of his points in the second quarter. Screen and roll, and Greg Ostertag having no trouble at all with that nice bounce pass from Adam Keefe. 10 on the shot clock.
I'm sure you would like to take every advantage away that you can from the defending champions.
Well, I think the Lakers were definitely trying to win that game. Ostertag steps out. Nobody came to get the ball from him. Really forced to shoot that shot. Embarrassing moment for him. But Isley baseline, that's blocked by Funderburk. Here comes John Barry against Armin Gilliam. Uses the rim. Beautiful reverse layup. Sort of a detriment to the other players who try to copy his style as Greg Ostertag easily goes inside. They're trying. Ryan Robertson thought about it, gives it up to Tyrone Corbin. Bill Winnington tried for the long rebound, and here comes Isley. Time remaining. Scott Padgett into the lane, comes up short, and count the basket for Scott Padgett on the offensive rebound, and Tyrone Corbin took this shot at the offensive end about 4 ticks too early.
Yeah, he let it go up a little bit too soon. He may have lost track of the time. We can see clearly here that the ball is up out of his hands on the second opportunity before we see the zeros.
We get you to Atlanta. At the half, been good so far. The Sacramento Kings leading by 2.
Finals, so they go into this thing a little bit loose. They were in a great series last year. They gained from the experience of playing against this outstanding Utah team.
Lead is 7 for Sacramento. Stockton kicks to Malone, 17-footer from the baseline is good. Founded by Corliss Williams and stolen by John Stockton. And Brian Russell will clean things up. So the all-time leader in steals and assists on that play will get one of each. 8 minutes and 40 seconds to go in the third quarter here in Salt Lake. Paul Sunderland with Mike Fratello and Cheryl Mills. Screen and roll to Karl Malone. Gets the offensive rebound and the basket. Rebounding certainly going to be a key for the Utah Jazz. Not one of the best in the league by far. Hornacek staying with it. Steals it from Vlade Divac. Hornacek can't get it to fall. Karl Malone, offensive rebound. And somebody didn't tell the Utah Jazz that this was the last game of the regular season, and it didn't matter. Malone, Stockton, Hornacek may not play many minutes, but when they're out there, they're going to play hard. Yeah. Technical foul against Vlade Divac. Jeff Hornacek, the league's best free throw shooter, steps to the line. And I wouldn't be surprised if it goes quits at the end of this season. Charles is finished. Jeff Hornacek standing with his wife, Stacy, telling his teammates, be quiet, honored at the half. Jeff Hornacek calling it a career after the playoffs are over in his 14th year out of Iowa State. One of the game's best pure shooters, has come to love it here in Salt Lake. Will make his home with wife Stacy, his 3 children, Reagan, Tyler, and Abigail. And look at some of the numbers that he has put up. Started out in Phoenix, Philadelphia briefly, and then finishing up in Utah. Overall in the second round by Phoenix, and a lot of people said, too slow, can't do this, can't do that. But I'll tell you, since he was 10, he's been able to do that. Stacy has seen that shot 1,000 times. Not only Scott Pollard, Vlade Divac, Corliss Williamson, and John Barry. Stockton on Martin. Nice pass to Olden. Polynice, the cutter in the lane, and gets the roll. Hornacek out behind the three-point mark, looking for a screen and roll. And there goes Karl Malone, right to the basket, flashing away from the screen and roll. Karl Malone asking for the foul, wanted to get to the line, has 18 points on the evening. Technical foul again called against Sacramento, this time on the Kings' John Barry. And Jeff Hornacek will go to the free throw line for the second time this evening. And the NBA's best free throw shooter this year. He's now 169 out of 178. And improves on that mark. 1/100th of a percentage point behind Calvin Murphy for the all-time record.
You're telling me he's missed 9? Well, he just threw John Barry out of the game right now.
John Barry has been tossed. And getting his money's worth as he's going to the locker room. The officials this evening, Jack Neese, Derek Stafford, and Rodney Mott. John Barry showing some real frustration over the last 2 or 3 minutes. Lack of defense by the Sacramento Kings as Stockton came down to double team. Kick to Hornacek for 3. Yeah. It's a 21-0 run at the start of the second half for the Utah Jazz. Jeff Hornacek in his last regular season NBA game has 18. Last night at home to the Seattle Supersonics. Backdoor cut, beautiful assist by Karl Malone. Screen and roll, Ostertag drops a pretty good looking pass. Russell comes away with a loose ball and hits the 17-foot jump shot low for Karl Malone. And Funderburk on the run out. 3-point shot, Hornacek with a rebound, tried to get it inside, and time for Sacramento. Corbin Strong to the basket for the layup at the buzzer, and count the basket. Sacramento, for a period of about 7.5 minutes, was dismal offensively, and here they are taking the lead at the end of the third quarter.
Well, Jeff Hornacek thought that the ball was kicked as he tried to pass it, but just enough time for Sacramento to convert 2 and put Sacramento up 1 to end the quarter.
Thrilling fourth quarter, and this second unit and Jerry Sloan, they were not happy at all with the way they played late in the game.
Well, there was a big loss, obviously, with Shandon Anderson moving on, but that's something that they knew from the beginning of the year that they had to compensate for, and it's other people are going to have to step up. And, you know, let's face it, he goes with his core guys as many minutes as he can. when it comes playoff time. And these other players who fit in the role positions when they're called upon, they've got to be ready and they've got to produce.
Jacques Vaughn. 4 straight turnovers in the game, 2 apiece. Armand Gilliam, 0 for 6 in the first half, gets his first basket of the basketball game, and he's going to need to be big up front for the Utah Jazz in the playoffs. Turn away, jump shot, again Whittington, playing in only his 7th game of the year. Nice bounce pass to Armand Gilliam. Beautiful pass from Jacques Vaughn. And that will have the home court advantage throughout the playoffs. 2 on the shot clock. Armand Gilliam, who has that beautiful sweeping left-handed hook, steps away. Rebound taken by Ty Corbin. Boy, poor defense by the Utah Jazz. Ty Corbin all the way to the rim.
Well, Ty Corbin had some game coming off the bench last night for Sacramento against Seattle. Seattle was pounding him on the offensive boards. Corbin came in, finally started putting a body on somebody, tried to keep Rashard Lewis off the glass, who was all over the place for Seattle last night.
They lost the season series 3-1. Gilliam from 17 feet. Started out 0 for... Sellout crowd on hand here tonight at the Delta Center for the Utah Jazz, and this place is as good as any building in the NBA when it comes to crowds and noise supporting the Utah Jazz in the playoffs. And this place will be absolutely rocking for the Seattle Supersonics. And Jacques Vaughn will dribble it out. The Utah Jazz will win 55 games this year and be the 2nd seed in the West. The Kings will lose their 4th in a row and 7th out of their last 8. They will be the 8th seed and take on the Los Angeles Lakers. They are 44 and 38 for the 1999-2000 regular season. Well, Mike, both of these teams finishing up, down a little bit. What do you think quickly for the playoffs for both of them?
Well, you'd like to go in with momentum. Neither one of them really finished that strong, but I think Utah feels very confident going into the playoffs.
Once again, the Utah Jazz win it. The final score, the Jazz 95, the Sacramento Kings 96. For Cheryl Miller and Mike Fratello, I'm Paul Sunderland saying good night from Salt Lake City. Coming up next, it's Inside the NBA with Ernie Johnson. Thanks for joining us. Enjoy the playoffs.
Our schedule for the first round between